All right, guys, welcome to From the Stands, PNW. We are a dirt track racing podcast. We focus on dirt track racing here in the Pacific Northwest. We are located we're shooting right now in Bellingham, Washington. That is kind of our home base. The two local tracks that we pull from are Skagit Speedway and Deming Speedway. Here with our podcast, we believe that every lap has a story and every fan has a seat. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, we'll kind of get into it a little bit. This episode specifically is going to focus on Deming Speedway in Deming, Washington. So if you don't know who I am Jimmy. I'm the host of this podcast. Behind the microphone and producing this episode is Stacy.
What's up?
And we were out at Deming Speedway this last Friday. So right now we're going to go with our cushion report. Our cushion report, we talk about what we've been doing, what we currently have in the works, and what is up and coming for the podcast. So we were at Deming this last Friday, July 3rd. And we were at Skagit Speedway on July 4th for the Les Schwab Fireworks Extravaganza. We're going to be doing a separate episode of Skagit coming up. Like I said, this one will focus on Deming Speedway in particular. Upcoming for us, we will not do another episode about Deming until after Clay Cup, which is on July 16th, 17th, and 18th. It is a 3-day race on a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the Clay Cup Nationals. And after that, we have the Bob's Burgers and Brew 360 Nationals at Skagit Speedway, which we will be at. We will not do an episode until after that, right? Was that correct?
I think so. We might have a little bit of bonus episodes here and there.
Yeah.
Sprinkled in. We are in works of hopefully the week of the 13th. So after Clay, or in between this week at Deming and Clay Cup.
Yeah.
Getting a interview with a photographer who also is a part of the crew of Big Sexy.
Stacy's working on that, so that is kind of like fresh to me. So you're seeing my reaction as Stacy is saying it, so that's great.
And who knows what other interviews. I'm off in the summer, so
that's why and that's one thing that people need to understand is Stacy's a teacher, right?
Yep.
So we have between now and Labor Day weekend basically to crunch as much as we can to get this kind of on autopilot so we can have episodes done throughout the year and kind of have laid the groundwork this summer to making sure we get that done. And so we're focused on trying to do episodes twice a month. That is my goal. We've done way more because we're starting out. We're trying to announce we're here doing things. That is starting to get out to people, which has been nice. It's also been kind of not nice too, but we'll get into why those reasons are here in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's been a challenge, a lot of work, but it's been a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, and I haven't said this to Stacy yet, so I am more motivated to put out a quality product sitting here right now than I was on day one. I'm more motivated right now.
I can definitely believe that.
Than I was before. So that is our cushion report. Also coming up, now this is a little bit a ways away, but beginning of August, I think it's the 7th and 8th, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a monster truck show. And that's kind of a controversy because monster trucks, is that part of the dirt track racing community? Well, guess what? They're going to be at Skagit, so we're going to go and see it. I haven't been to a monster truck show, so I'm looking forward to that. I want to ride in a monster truck. We're trying to get that situated. So, and then, of course, Labor Day weekend is a huge, huge weekend, 3-day race. Kubota High Limit. Is it Kubota now or is it Interstate Batteries High Limit?
I don't know.
So I'm going to do all three just in case. Kubota, Interstate Batteries High Limit is coming to Skagit Labor Day weekend. 3 days, all the big boys will be here. Rico, Tanner Holmes, Brad Sweet, maybe, who won Dirt Cup this year. We'll see. So we have a busy summer coming up, and we're also trying to figure out in about a month or so to get out to Grays Harbor for a race weekend to do an episode out there and about them, and to kind of let them know that, hey, we're here, that kind of thing.
I feel like we need a calendar.
It's a lot. It's a lot. All right, so that is our cushion report. And now we're going to get into our driver's meeting. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that, because guess what? We have driver interview coming up right after this. All right, so welcome to From the Stands P&W. We are on location at Deming Speedway in beautiful Deming, Washington. We have with us, safe to say, a newcomer to the sprint car world.
Yeah.
We have Sage Parker. Drives the number 17 600cc micro sprint. Do you prefer micro sprint or mini sprint?
Micro.
Micro. So I'm curious, Sage. Let's talk about a little bit about your dune career, because in your dune career, you're kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I learned, like, you're kind of the thing in that world. Talk a little bit about, like, how did you start racing dunes, and how did all that come about?
It all started. We got this Ace 325, and we're in the back trails at my house, and then we were gonna take in the dunes. We took in the dunes, and then we didn't have enough power, so Dad got a bigger car and
Yeah.
power steering. Couldn't even load the car in the trailer. It's so hard to steer, but we got this RS1, and then like started jumping it, and then we got, roll cage, shocks, tires, and then we did this 205-foot wheelie. And
Yeah, talk about that, because you actually, at Dirt Cup, you gave Rico a shirt of yours, right? And then you showed him your 200-foot. That's like a record, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a record for a
200-foot wheel stand.
that's for a non-turbo car.
Yeah,
too.
that's crazy. But tell us about, like, what possessed you to want to do the 200. Like, did you know you were going to do that, or was it, like, at the moment, or what?
I knew I was gonna do it because we were getting some good pop-ups about probably 115 feet, and then I was like, Dad, I want to do one more, and then I
Sure.
just gave my all. And
That's awesome. That is awesome. I had no idea, though, like, the dune racing, how big that was. I had no clue. Because we don't get it, obviously, around here. Around here, it's, flat track, dirt track, sprint cars, modifieds, that kind of thing. And so it was kind of neat to learn a new form of racing. But how has the transition been from dune racing to racing micro sprints?
man, it's been crazy. The whole downforce and how the wing and all that is just crazy to me.
Whole, like, the telemetry and all the stuff that goes
Yeah.
into, I can imagine. What do you think of Deming Speedway, though?
Man, it's fun out here.
Yeah.
I love this track.
How's the competition? Like, everybody pretty competitive here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
No, it's awesome. I'm curious, like, because I've never driven, right? I've been just a fan my whole life. And I know we talked a little bit about before we started. Are you ever nervous when you strap into the car? Like, your first, if you're, either you're out, packing, doing hot laps, or getting ready, like, are you ever nervous when you strap in?
Nah, not that much. And probably in the A main, but it's all coming from my adrenaline.
Sure. Now, what are you thinking, though, like, the green flag's about to drop, and you're sitting in there. What goes through your head? Nothing. I mean, you could say, if it's nothing, you could say nothing.
Not that much. Not
Okay.
That much.
Just like keep the car clean.
Yeah.
Don't crack anything up, that kind
Yeah,
of thing. Awesome. That is awesome. So we're excited to see you run tonight. I think it's going to be great. We're doing a special episode coming up on Deming Speedway, and this interview will be featured in that. We're excited to see that. Now, tell me a little bit about your race team. I know you have your parents out here.
Yeah, definitely. My dad, my mom,
Uh-huh.
my Uncle Tom, he's been helping out. And then JR, Thomas, and Travis Jacobson and all of them.
Oh, okay, nice. Are you ever helping with, like, mechanical work, anything like that?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So how long does it usually take you to get the car set up? Like when you pull it out of the trailer?
It takes about like probably 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Gotta
Not
get the
as
wing
bad.
bolted to the frame. Yeah.
Now, tonight's a mid-season championship, right? The mid-season points championship?
Yeah, I think
You
so.
excited for that?
Yeah.
You're going to dominate, though, right?
Yeah, we're gonna try.
Car looks fast. I think
Yeah.
we'll probably get some footage of the car, I'm imagining. But, yeah, no, it's great. So parents help you out with the race team, your dad and mom. Anybody else?
Friends and family.
Nice. Love that. Being the old small race team, but can do a lot, right? And that's pretty awesome. What would you like the people at home to know about you? About how you race, or what your plans are? I mean, what is your life goal here?
Just to have fun.
Well, it's a good one to have. I wish we could have more people that would have that be their goal. Are you hoping eventually to graduate from Deming and race at Skagit?
Yeah, that's the goal, probably in like a couple years.
Okay, well, that's a good goal to have. And they always say that Deming is the stepping stone to Skagit. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that from what I've seen of you, you will definitely be in that class here pretty soon. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you for letting us come out and talk to you. I know before a race it's kind of tough because you got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
But I do really appreciate it. And hopefully we could talk maybe after the race. Would you be all right with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So after everything's done tonight, I would love to get your feelings on how tonight went. You'd be good
Okay.
with that.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys, there you go. Sage Parker.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about this micro sprint. Like you say micro sprint and you expect diminished capacity. And I think Sage is savage for a reason. The kid is legit. Like if I didn't know anything about Sage, when I watched him on the track Friday night, Friday, July 3rd when we were there, I would have said that was a adult behind the wheel. And you might ask why. So for the uneducated fandom that I stare at a racetrack and have, right? My technical part of being a fan, I kind of noticed that Sage was a very patient driver. So Sage did very well in qualifying. I think he finished P1 in his group. And then he was in the B main, and Sage won the B main and got to advance to the A main, started 15th, finished 10th. The takeaway, though, is watching Sage in the A main, starting 15th. He was patient when he needed to be patient, and then he was aggressive and took hole shots when he needed to take hole shots. Now, why is that important? Well, from me as a fan, there's only a small window of opportunity when you're on a racetrack as a driver, at least from my perspective. And every time I recognized that small window, he took that opportunity and took advantage of it and moved up, finishing 10th for the A main, which I thought was outstanding. And I was super impressed by that. He's a good young man. His parents are doing one heck of a job with him. His race team is small. It's about as small as a race team gets at Deming. But the mechanism of rich team and not rich team, and I'm not going to say poor team, because he had a great car. He has the right equipment. His parents do well. Not a lot of extras with that race team, which you kind of get. He's racing on a budget, but it's crazy because you still have the big haulers and then you got the small trailers and
I think it's important to remember that it's his rookie year.
Yeah, he is a rookie.
Like there's big things coming for him, and I can see that with probably sponsorships and everything else.
And he's a great one to sponsor. He's watching him. He's going to be a superstar when he is in sprint cars at Skagit in the future. He's going to be one to watch for us. So you're going to want to remember that name, Sage Parker. So, yeah. Anything else to add about that?
I just think that his story is cool. If you don't follow him. We will put his socials
Yeah, absolutely.
on our video, Savage Sage. You go back through his clips and you see a lot of dune racing, and that's kind of where he got started in the racing.
205 foot, 208 foot wheel stand, which is like a record. That's nuts. And we talked a little bit about it in the interview. Like, I asked him if he intended to do that or didn't. He intended to do that. He knew he was going to do it. It wasn't by accident, which is insane to me. And I think there was video of on his social media being at Rico's trailer when Rico was at Dirt Cup. He gave Rico a shirt, showed him the wheel stand, which he thought was awesome. You can probably catch that clip on his social media.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're going to want to follow him, Savage Sage. Sage Parker and his race team, the number 17 in the 600cc restricted class. Great kid, great driver, great parents, great team. I was super impressed. So we're going to get into kind of the overall at Deming here in a minute. We kind of have some takeaways from having media access, what it was like, overall race experience. We're going to come back with all that here in a minute.
Okay, welcome back.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the overall impressions of Deming Speedway. And I have to say, I'm a little embarrassed about my fandom with Deming Speedway. Now, I know that we had talked to Paul about 2 weeks ago. We were shooting cutaways when we were just announcing that we're getting off the ground and all that stuff. Paul was like, hey, if you want to come out to Deming, we will give you media access. Come on out. We'd love you to talk about Deming Speedway. Well, in between that conversation and July 3rd was a race. The week prior was rained out.
We're in Washington.
So there was a 2-week gap. So we get to the track on July 3rd. I was skeptical, to be honest with you. I was skeptical. And I don't know what your initial impressions were, Stacy, but I had a certain expectation, and it wasn't super positive when we pulled into the parking lot. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of a negative Nelly in that respect, so
Yes.
she's looking for the right words.
You are.
So, but
Jimmy needs cut and dry, black and white answers of where to go, what to do.
yes.
And we didn't have those. So it was like, well, let's just walk through the gate. Let's go find Sage. His mom saw us in the parking lot as we were getting out of the car. We're like, well, we're just going to go do the interview.
Yep.
If we get stopped, we get stopped. We're just going.
We kind of felt if it was Skagit Speedway, we probably would have been strip searched, handcuffed, put in the back of a car, all kinds of. So I'll give Deming credit. We walked through. I was expecting somebody to say something to us right away because we didn't have our pit passes and our media access yet. Did not happen. We get to Sage's pit stall. We interview him, talk to his parents, talk to his crew, looked the car over, kind of looked at others. People kind of stopped, wanted to know what we were doing, who we were, and that kind of is the tail of the tape with our existence out in the world. Everybody stops and wants to know who the hell you are and what you're doing. So, and I learned something, and a lot of the pit access, when teams get in at Deming and they get in and they start taking their cars out and prepping them, they don't have their pit passes yet, which is weird because most tracks you got to buy that before you go through the gates. You can't drag your car into Skagit before you pay your way in and get your crew paid. But they had a separate line for drivers, separate line for crew, and it was on an honor system. And I was impressed by that. And everybody seemed to abide by the honor system. I didn't see anybody, I wasn't specifically looking for it, but there wasn't a wanton violation of the honor system at Deming Speedway.
Well, you couldn't go in the grandstands area without them looking at your bracelet as you walked by.
Correct. There was a little restriction there, but so we did the interview, and after the interview, Sage's dad didn't even have his pit pass yet. He had to go and get it, after all that was done, and I love that part of it. Even though it's on the honor system, and you know how the world is today, people will cheat that. But what Paul has set up at Deming and his crew is unbelievable.
It's the best environment for young kids wanting to get started in the racing without feeling intimidated, in my standpoint. I can go on that this is kind of like some county fairs. When you go and show your animals through 4-H FFA, you get them in the barn, you get them situated, then you go to the fair office and buy your passes.
Yeah.
And so I do really think it's a welcoming environment.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Paul sold us on Deming in the very beginning when we were talking about what we're planning on doing and kind of our steps forward. He said our track is very, very family friendly. And I know it's one thing to say, but he was correct. Everything I saw was completely geared towards the family environment. You can bring your own food in, your own drinks in, which is insane at a racetrack because racetracks not only want your money at the gate, but they want you to buy their food, buy their drinks, and that's it. And, I love the fact that if you're on a budget, Deming is the best place to go to watch racing.
Especially with a family. It
With
all
a
adds
family,
up.
yeah, absolutely. You can pack your sandwiches, you can do drinks. We brought drinks in. We bought some when we were there, and that's what he is hoping for, but it's not an end-all, buy my food or else at Deming Speedway, and I love that part of it. So, yeah.
And I also think it's important to note that just because the gates open at 5 o'clock doesn't mean that you have to be in your seat at 5 o'clock. You can finish having dinner if you live in the area and then head out.
Yeah, I was looking at that. We were in line, and that line was quite long, which was surprising, and it was 5:30. And I'm like, whoa.
Oh, when we were getting our media passes.
When we get our media passes, yeah.
But I think that was just the line we were in.
Sure, but it's other tracks I've seen it very streamlined where, 5:30 cars are rolling out on the track, not crews still standing in line. And that was different, but it worked. The racing was tremendous. I mean, I think it was the most entertaining racing of the weekend for me. We were at Skagit on July 4th. The 410s, the IMCA modifieds, and the Hornets were at Skagit. I was more entertained by the junior sprints, the 600 restricted, the 600, the 1200, and the Northwest Focus midgets than I was at Skagit Speedway Racing this last week. It was more action-packed, and it was more bumping and grinding. Now, don't get me wrong, Skagit, you got Trey Starks, Justin Youngquist, Levi Hillier, who does double duty at Deming as well as at Skagit. But it was, from top to bottom, way more competitive, more action-packed. You don't know you're watching micro sprint racing. When you're in the heat of watching, your brain doesn't register that half of these people are kids.
And I bet you the fan base sitting there doesn't know that.
Yeah, I mean,
If you're new to the racing and
if
to what
you
Deming's
stumble
offering,
in and have no idea, you're not going to be, other than the junior sprints, I think, because they are small.
yeah.
I don't think an adult female or male can squeeze themselves into that. But outside of that, you don't know that they're kids.
Or even how young some of these kids are.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy.
Like walking through those pits and you're like, oh.
Yeah,
you look
middle-aged
like
men with 10-year-olds.
or younger.
Yeah.
Like, I was
and
like, holy
crazy. But I do give Paul a lot of credit. He told us that he would give us access. We got the access. His crew there, his track officials, were outstanding. I have the hat of the day and the shoes of the day, which will be like, I'll put up a picture of what I'm talking about. But It was outstanding. Shout out to the gentleman that was wearing the Galaxy's Edge hat because his daughter dances for Disney, which was awesome. We had that conversation kind of in between some races. But Paul gave us access. We had it. It was outstanding. And I think, as we go forward with this podcast, the media that we produce for this looks strange. Because if you look at us, here's me trailing Stacy. Stacy's taking pictures and taking video, which looks very similar to what the other media people at the tracks are doing. Did we get side-eyed looks? Yes. Kind of like, who are you? Why are you here? I kind of get that. We're trudging on people's territory.
Definitely.
But people have to understand, and we're trying to get that message out, is our media is different. We're not selling packages back to teams. We're not trying to put this stuff together to make money. The images that we get both at Deming and at Skagit are for the podcast. Then that is what it is for. If Deming wants to use any of our footage, any of our stuff, they're more than welcome to. They just have to say, hey, can we get copies of that? And we'll happily provide them. We're coming up against some roadblocks because we're new, but it's more motivating for me. So I do want to, and I want to stop and take the minute to thank Paul and his team and everything they did. He over-delivered with what I was hoping was going to happen. It was tremendous. I was completely pleased. I was sore as heck, because I have some physical limitations. Running around, following Stacy that whole night was not easy on my body, but it couldn't have gone any better for me. And I would assume you kind of felt the same way.
Definitely. It took me a little while to kind of get, I guess, warmed up to what I could do, where I could be. I kind of had to, stand back and take it all in for a while because I've never been back into those situations, into the pits or even on the track. And so it did take a little bit of kind of getting used to things. And I'll be honest, cars going around that track, that is a hard job to photograph. They are moving.
Yeah, if you think micro sprints aren't fast, those cars are booking. Are they upwards of 100 miles an hour? No. But I think the speed that they're pushing out around the distance that they're traveling, it is comparable to Skagit, in my opinion. Shockingly, right? I kind of feel like the Focus Midgets, the Northwest Focus Midgets, they're kind of a little bit too big for Deming, kind of feels like, but they're kind of not big enough for Skagit Speedway, so they're kind of my just fandom eye, my untrained eye. That's what my brain registers with them, because you get like 6 on the Deming track, and they're like almost too big. But when there's 25 of them on Skagit Speedway's track, it's not big enough. You know what I mean? So, but competitive as heck. Shane Smith is a stud. Wife Races does really well. The breast cancer awareness cars are everywhere, quick as heck. Crazy. Now I'm curious, because you weren't a big fan of the sound of the Focus Midgets, Northwest Focus Midgets at Dirt Cup.
No.
It was that on steroids the entire time we were there. How did you handle because you hated the motorcycle, the whiny sound of the motors.
The high pitch. It's just going to take some time getting used to, But, that track was in pristine.
You've never been, right? So
Never been to Deming.
It was great racing.
It was,
action packed.
It was entertaining.
The crowd was, the stands were full. When I talk about access and what Paul gave us and what Paul did for us, gave us the access, told he would do this. He did, over-delivered. Even so much so that we got a surprise interview, kind of impromptu, with the track announcers. So it was Chase and Kaleb. If you don't know who they are the voices of Deming Speedway, and Kaleb is also the voice of Skagit Speedway. Ironically, though, when you look at it, because of the access we've been given at Deming, we were able to secure this interview. If it was reversed at Skagit, we wouldn't have been given access to get this interview done. And it's kind of a different with our content creating going forward, where we're running into this dilemma of Deming says yes, Skagit says no, and we're going to have to figure out what we're doing. So, yeah, that's kind of
That's a whole different book. That could be a whole episode right there of.
yeah. So I kind of equate it to.
I feel like we're getting like a flat tire here, a broken suspension here, the type of scenarios you're going around a track.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it kind of feels like for me, like.
But we had the 1 minute to get shit back together to finish up at Deming.
Yeah, pretty much. Deming, we were given everything above and beyond what we were expecting. And at Skagit, they haven't given us anything. So it's like when we go from one track where we can go in any direction at Deming that we choose, and we're encouraged to do so. At Skagit, because we're not given media access, it's a little bit harder to generate content.
It is definitely from the stands.
Correct. With Skagit Speedway, we are exercising from the stands in particular. So any interviews that we go forward with at Skagit, we have to reach out to the teams directly and set something up outside of the purview of Skagit Speedway. We kind of don't know how it's going to be going forward. And that's kind of the tough part, because it's trying to get a direction for the show. And one is kind of very specific, like we can do content and get going. And the other one is, well, it's kind of like COVID when you go to see your grandparents, right? You can go to their house. You can go up to the window, and they're on the other side of the window, and their hands up, and your hands are up on the window, and they're like, but you can't come in. We still love you, but you can't come in. It's kind of what it feels like to me. So it's a little bittersweet, but that's okay.
We're up for the challenge.
We're up for the challenge. So we're, like I said, Deming was awesome. If you are a dirt track racing fan, I encourage you to go there. It is as competitive and as action-packed as possible. Now, the next thing coming up is, what are the advantages of a team talking to us, like at Deming? And what are disadvantages, I guess? Or what would be the purpose? Why could a team be motivated to want to talk to us, especially at Deming, because it applies there? It doesn't necessarily apply at Skagit yet. We're trying to figure that out, like I said. But for this topic, I want to tackle it on the Deming side specifically. Because we have the media access at Deming, if a team talks to us, for instance, like Sage and his team, like this week, our media that we're shooting is kind of centered around that team. It is heavy in that team and the division that team races in, I think is safe to say, right?
Yeah.
Now, when we do that, as a thank you for allowing us to shoot, we will provide a team with any photos and video that we generate as kind of a thank you. We're not charging you for that. We're going to give it to you as a kind of thank you for allowing us to talk to your driver, talk to your team, be around the team to photograph, the car and talk to everybody and get a general impression. That's kind of what we can offer a team in the future. Not every team can afford pictures and the packages that are generated, because some of it's expensive. And so I'm excited to be able to provide that to a team, especially a team that maybe doesn't have the media money. So that is an advantage to us. I don't know what kind of advantage we can give to teams at Skagit yet, because they're still trying to feel that out. But
It'll come.
But definitely at Deming, because we do have the access, that is something that we are trying to do with teams moving forward, is you give us access and let us talk to your drivers and your team and your crew, we will provide the media that we have for that day or that weekend. It could be Clay Cup and 3 days worth of shooting. Definitely we will do that. So,
And so just to kind of recap, and it's on our TikTok if you follow us at From the Stands PNW.
all of our social media, right? From the Stands BMW.
Yep. I have a driver's feature as the title page. Jimmy and Sage sitting in Sage's trailer because that's where the best place to do the interview was because it was kind of out of the way and quiet.
It was the quietest spot at the moment, yeah.
And attached to it is the photos put into a video clip of what we took and just still images. We had a busy week in between 2 racetracks
Yes.
this weekend, but in the 4th of July holiday. So he got those the next day. And it doesn't mean that I won't take other pictures of him and down the road if he
Oh,
comes
yeah,
up for Clay
absolutely.
Cup, I shoot some pictures, I'm going to send it over to him.
Yeah. And now, how are we doing with time? We okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know that certain teams, certain drivers, and certain conglomerates, I guess, want it very polished, right? If it's not a very polished podcast, if we're not as professional, we're not, people kind of don't want anything to do with us or anything to do with a less professional looking, it's kind of your basement kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that you get from us is passion behind the subject matter. We're not a gotcha crew. We're not trying to get people in a moment that we can create shock value or any of that. We are fans talking about dirt track racing. I mentioned it before. I hope photographers get a chance to see this. Media members on both sides, Deming, Skagit, Grays Harbor, any other track that we might show up. If you see From the Stands PNW, we're wearing our gear, we're taking photos. We're not out trying to compete with you. We're not trying to take your job. We're not trying to take money out of your kids' mouths or out of your pocket. We're generating content for the show specifically. So
And it's really to promote the racing industry, the dirt tracks, and to get the word out there that we have racetracks in our backyards that people might not 100% know.
And if you think about it, right, if we don't have podcasts like this one out there about talking about it, if we keep going down the path that we're going, will Deming succeed? Yes. Does Deming need From the Stands to make it in the world? No. Because Deming's been doing it since, 1984, 1985? They've been doing it a long time. They have a winning recipe. Does Skagit need a podcast to make them succeed? No. But does the promotion help? Is there somebody that might hear about a track that they normally wouldn't because they run across our podcast? And is there an advantage that a track or a race car or a race team or even another fan has by interacting with our podcast? I think so, right?
I definitely think so. And I think especially from the young racer perspective at Deming.
Especially at Deming.
Getting their names out, getting the experience.
Yeah.
Like when you go to Skagit and you're interviewed by the on-track guy and as he's running around the pits or whatever, and you don't have an idea of what you're going to say, and it's spur of the moment, and you haven't had a mic shoved in your face before, it's a little intimidating.
It is.
So that's part of us being raw.
It is. And when I sit down to do this episode, if you look in front of me, I have no notes. I'm winging it. I don't have a teleprompter. I don't have my meta glasses to give you my point of view this episode.
We're going to need to take a break.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and finish up this segment, and then we'll move on with pole position. All right, so we potentially had a almost had a technical snafu, but we recovered. And we're going to wrap up our last segment. So we were kind of discussing about what is the advantage of what we're doing, how it relates to a track, how it relates to drivers. We are not to be feared. We are trying to help promote the sport. We're trying to help promote the tracks. And so going forward, we would love to have a great working relationship with everybody. Some drivers have started talking about us, both at Deming and at Skagit. I love that. I hope it continues going forward. But we're only here to talk about the sport in a positive way. We're not trying to get you in a gotcha moment. We're not trying to become clickbait famous. That is not the point of this. We're looking at a longevity project talking about dirt track racing and promoting something that doesn't get a lot of eyeballs on it in this avenue. So
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to be featured as a driver at Deming,
reach out to us.
reach out. We are more than welcome to, and we're planning on being out there pretty much almost every Friday of the rest of the season.
Correct. And if you see us at a track, whether it's Deming or Skagit, and you see from the stands our logo, come up and say hi. Don't be afraid to, because you never know. We're about fandom, so we talk to fans too. And who knows? You come up and say hi, we might feature you in an upcoming episode.
Fans,
You never
driver,
know.
crew,
Doesn't matter.
we're doing it all.
We want to talk to everybody. So, all right, we're going to go into our pole position. This week's pole position, we had food last episode, right?
Yes,
We talked about food in our top 5 or 3?
top 5.
Top 5. We're doing paint schemes at Deming Speedway this week, this episode. I have mine, but I have my top. And I want to hear yours, though. I'm curious.
Okay.
Because I have a theme, general theme to mine.
I do too,
So if
actually.
you look at the cars at the track, you could probably guess the ones that I am in favor of.
You can definitely guess. And if we have photos of them,
We will put
We will put
what
it up
we're
with the
cooking up,
videos.
and we're still learning teams and numbers and drivers. Stacy is making faces at me right now behind the camera. I am much better with drivers than she is, so kind of bear with the podcast momentarily. So
it was hard because we didn't get a list of drivers and numbers and cars and classes.
that we can at Skagit, we go to Will Call and they'll provide.
And we might have it at Deming. We just didn't know to even ask.
Correct.
So I tried to go off of results, and then I started kind of getting like numbers between. I didn't know which necessarily class I was looking at, and
Okay.
so are you starting at like your top and then giving honorable mentions, or do you have them ranked?
I have an honorable mention. It's kind of a group, but
Okay.
I mean, I wrote them down. I know I just made mention that I don't do notes and I don't have a teleprompter. You see me at tracks with this book. I'm writing in it. I'm taking notes as I go because I'm turning 50 this year and my brain does not register super good with recalling details. And so I need notes to kind of help generate an episode. So, but I did take some notes. I even wrote down like the classes that they were in.
Okay. Well, I got that too on 4 of mine.
Okay. So let's go with your number 5.
My number 5 is the 40R Canon. That was a black and yellow.
That's your number 5. Okay.
That's my number 5.
Wow. I hope we don't have the same
But
list.
that one was my complete like left field. It doesn't work with my top 4.
And so the 40R, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the car that was near the beginning of the pit
Yes.
entrance. I think I talked to the 40R, the father of the driver who has raced, a nice guy. We didn't get a chance to get over to his pit stall to talk to them, but that is on my list. I would love to do it like this coming week. By the way, when we go to, like, even though we're not producing another episode until after Clay Cup, we're still going to be at the track. We are still providing content, even driver-related content. It's just not in a structured episode until, right?
It's we're going to just kind of stack some things.
Correct.
And put it out as we kind of go.
So the 40 was my number 5 as well.
Okay.
I love the contrast with the black and the yellow. I think it's yellow greenish. It's that just intense. I kind of say mid-90s fluorescent is kind of a good way to put it, right?
Yeah, I feel like I have to look at a photo of it. But I do feel like I have that featured on one of my videos that
Okay,
I
so
did.
what was your number 4?
My number 4 was out of the restricted 600s, and it was 21M.
Okay.
And I believe the driver, and you guys can correct me, is Maddie Hope.
That's
And
all right. We're raw, so
We're all learning.
We can make a mistake, and that's okay.
And it was pink, teal, and white
Okay.
color scheme.
So my number 4 was the double fours. Was it the 44? Was the black and teal? You remember that one?
Yes.
I love that color because it was legitimate, almost Mariner, like evergreen green on black. I think they were in, it's either the 600 or 1200, but I'm pretty sure it was a 600 class. But that was a sharp looking car.
Oh, shoot. I'm moving back around some pictures.
Okay, so that was my number 4.
Yes.
What was your number 3?
My number 3 is 50D. And it was, I think, also in the I think the rest of mine are all in the 600 restricted.
Okay.
And it was pink, yellow, white, and black.
Okay, that's a good combo. So my number 3 was going to be the number 2.
Okay, that's the one I just pulled up here. 'Cause
Okay.
I had it on my list.
Yeah.
I had 6 of them.
So that was sweet. I believe number 2 was in the 600 cc class, if I remember correctly. That's what I've written down anyway that I did on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my number 3. Okay, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is 16B and Brooklyn Bracy. And it was black, pink, and white.
All right, so my number 2 was the number 10. So I think there were 2 number 10s in this, either 600 or 1200, but it was the orange, the fluorescent orange on black.
Okay.
That was sharp. Loved it. I mean, and it almost hurts your eyeball. The orange is that electric. But it got my attention. And outside of the 40R, the black and the fluorescent yellow or fluorescent green, I don't even know what even color palette it really was. It was literally the second car I noticed was the orange and the black, the number 10. So that was my number 2.
Okay.
What was your number 1?
88C.
Oh, we don't have the same list. I'm shocked.
And this one, for some reason, and I did the same at Skagit when I did my list for our bonus episode of Skagit, the white cars, where the bodies are white, is something about everything else is black. It's like looking at Jimmy's wardrobe and his shirts. A lot of black.
Yeah.
So this one was, I want to say Dominic Carter, but this is where I might have got a little confused. White, teal, and black. So
Okay.
white, and it has a little bit of teal and black
Sure.
in the striping and that kind of stuff.
And my number 1 was in the 1200 cc class because it was, 4th of July weekend. It was number 8. It was the stars and stripes. How they had that painted out was beautiful. I'm hoping to put a picture of it up. I'm hoping we have an image of it. I'm
If
pretty
not,
sure
I can
we do.
probably find an image. Or,
That is my number 1. It was outstanding, and it was really cool to see. July 4th was America's 250th birthday. I'm extremely patriotic, and that's the one thing about dirt track racing. Dirt track racing is as American as baseball, as apple pie, and anybody that says so does not understand the fabric of American culture. dirt track racing is as American as those other things that we stereotype as being that. So now I have an honorable mention. Do you have an honorable mention?
I actually do.
Okay. What is your honorable mention?
It was number 2, and it was gray, pink, and yellow.
Okay. My honorable mention is the breast cancer awareness cars of the Northwest Focus Midgets.
The Johnsons.
Yeah, they were everywhere. They were at Dirt Cup. We saw them at the Dirt Cup party. I think they were out there, weren't they? I believe they were. And they were at the track at Deming. It's always great to see, obviously fighting cancer, whether it be breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer, whatever it may be, always important. But it was good to see them out and run. So anyway, so that is our pole position for this episode. Now, coming up next, I have an answer to my question of the day, and it is kind of a surprise guest answer because we had an impromptu interview at the track. And I asked the bonus question to this impromptu guest and his broadcast partner, which kind of gives away what it was. And we're going to talk about it after you see the interview. I'm going to ask the question. You're going to hear the answers. And then we're going to talk about it coming up next.
I don't want to take up too much more of your time because you got to get ready to call a race. I do want to ask you one question. Sure. And we did this question of the day of our episode the other day, and it's going to fire some people up. Okay. But is dirt track racing the ultimate form of motorsport? I would love to hear your take on that. Because you look at NASCAR and F1, everything is so technical and planned, and so there's a lot of slide and pray kind of through corners and those things.
So, as far as sport goes, no. And I say this because beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
I love that answer.
It's my top. I understand if it's not yours.
Mine too.
It's my top. I would rather watch a dirt sprint car race than anything else as far as racing goes. But that's because I have the attention span of a gnat, right? And Chase, my co-announcer up here at Deming, who's here with us at the moment, he's heard me say this and talking to him and talking to other announcers and talking to other people within the industry a billion times. Our attention spans are not getting longer. They're getting shorter and shorter and shorter. We're in the TikTok generation now where 15 seconds of content is enough content, right? Your podcast is on TikTok. I've seen the highlights of it, right? That's a 15, 30, that's a quick little burst of stuff, right? That's how I watch races now. Anything beyond half an hour, and I'm ready to do something else. And now I can watch a different race back to back to back to back to back for a long period of time. It's also shootout days, right?
Sure, yeah,
but
absolutely.
Different drivers, sometimes different divisions, etc. I'm getting that variety that I need. That's how I consume entertainment. I'm not watching 4-hour-long movies. I'm not binging entire seasons of a show, even though that kind of turns over and again. I watch a little burst, a little burst, a little burst. So while that's how I consume entertainment, that may not be how everybody consumes entertainment.
Sure.
Some people like to watch 600 laps of NASCAR on a 2/3 mile track in which nothing changes and nothing matters till the end. Can you tell I'm a little biased? But some people do enjoy that.
Sure.
And for them, that's the be all end all. And I don't want to take away their love for something that they enjoy. So for me, yeah, give me wing sprints on a dirt track 9 out of 10 times, and then for everybody else in the world, you guys love motorsports how you want to love motorsports, so long as you're doing it.
No, I love that answer. But as his partner up here, what do you think about that?
So for me, yeah,
ultimate form.
And remind you, you're talking to a teenager.
I
I'm a 43-year-old.
have a quote that said that dirt is unforgiving and asphalt is for parking lots.
I've grown up watching F1, GT3, kind of all the stuff around the Europe scene of asphalt. I've gotten into dirt racing. I grew up watching Skagit, took a long break, and then I came back up and it's different. Like dirt racing is way more exciting in a way. You see, you have the big F1 races where there's 53 laps, 70 laps in a race, and there's not much changing. NASCAR, like what Kaleb said, it's not really, you watch till the end, you watch for that excitement moment. But for dirt racing, you always have that. There's always cars moving around, slide jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Always moves. I've seen, if I had the opportunity to do dirt racing announcing or a asphalt race, I would choose dirt racing 9 times out of 10 because of just how exciting it gets, just how, the adrenaline rush. I say that as an announcer and not a driver. I get an adrenaline rush when, they're making those crazy moves, and that's the joy of it. I think for dirt racing, for me, it's up there. But I've grown up watching all sorts, GT3, Le Mans, F1.
And to double down on what he is saying, there is a whole bunch of variety and types of auto racing entertainment. The really important thing for us as an industry right now, not to go too long term on you guys'
It's fine. I'd love to hear you guys' perspective. So.
The really important thing for us as an industry is to understand our consumer right now and understand the kind of entertainment that they're wanting to have delivered. I think your short track dirt racing promoters are getting it. Here at Deming is a prime example of it. We're trying to get a show in 2.5 hours. From start of entertainment program to when you're done, get you in, get you fed, 2.5 hours, you're home in time to spend the rest of the night how you want to do it, right? If your promoter spends enough time understanding its audience and what they're grabbing onto during their race day and what is bringing them joy, they will succeed in putting more people in the grandstands. The promoters that are not paying attention to how long their day is, how long the gaps in between the events within the day are going, what they're doing within those events themselves, and the amount of money that they're charging for the ticket to have that long. You could have the cheapest ticket in the world to go watch auto racing, but if it takes you 8 hours to get through 5 divisions of action, where's the entertainment value in that for me? At that point in time, you're almost holding your fans hostage, right? I want to see what happens in the end, but you've got to go through 4 different support divisions and your 4-cylinder class that you're giving a 50-lap race to that are doing 40-second laps that night. Yet we have to be better about understanding what our consumer wants, delivering it to them in an affordable and tight package.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, and I like the fact that a lot of people, they see the product on the track, but they don't quite understand what goes on behind the scenes, what it takes to put on a race like that. The drivers are the nice, big, shiny little, medallion, right? Everybody fawns over them, but it's hundreds of people that put this on and have to do this. It's crazy.
We are in charge of creating heroes and villains up here in the announce stand. Somebody to root for or root against. Somebody that goes, I want to spend my $20 to see how he does. I want to see him win, or I want to see him lose. Sure. Whatever it is, if we can create a rooting interest, you buy a ticket and you come back to see what happens to that. The year that I spent racing, I fielded a Focus Midget about a decade ago and took Friday nights off here from Deming to run that. I got a brand new appreciation for all those other guys in and behind the scenes. All the people who thrashed all week, turning wrenches, bloody knuckles, for no glory.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
on top of that, spent every dollar I had that year in order to try to do it, so your car owners, sometimes drivers at the same time. And so I try to get a little glimpse in behind on, ooh, God, that's $1,000 part that they just wrecked.
Well, you do for somebody like me who has no frame of reference to driving or car owning or turning a wrench. It's an appreciative art form that you do. So keep it up. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want to thank you guys for taking time out and talking with us. And,
anytime.
Yeah. And we'll be back.
All right. So that was our impromptu kind of question I felt the need to ask because I was deeply curious. We're going to have a bonus episode coming up supplementing this episode. And it is my conversation with Kaleb in the broadcast tower. We're going to post that sometime this week, but it is on the cell phone. It is raw. I do apologize. We weren't prepared for it. Paul kind of presented it to us, and Kaleb was kind enough to take the time out. But I'm going to tell you right now, Kaleb and his partner I would love to sit down in comfy chairs and have an hour-long
And
conversation
some good air condition.
with them because they are insightful beyond belief. Kaleb has this ability to talk about the technical part of racing and relate it to the non-technical fan that is unmatched. And I always feel like I learn more after listening to him at the track, but especially in the environment where I get to talk to him specifically like we did, he is insightful beyond belief, and I was thrilled with the interview. So
let's go back a little bit. It was
Correct.
very impromptu.
very,
It was, hey, have you met Kaleb? Would you like to go up to talk to him?
yeah,
It was, right before the packing and all that was going on the track.
yeah,
Their announcing booth is super small, but it also was kind of the alley to get to the second booth over. So there
Yeah.
was a lot of people in and out.
yeah. It is as raw and like unprofessional as it could be, and we might get critiqued for it if you do. Well, it is what it was. So I would love to be able to sit down with him in a more chill environment. I just want to get his like life, just philosophy, because Kaleb has a very articulate way of I don't know. I was enthralled by everything he talked about, and he is knowledgeable on the subject, and you just kind of let him go and you listen, pay attention, because he's gonna teach you something. So it was super cool. But the question was, if you didn't get it, I'm gonna say it here because I have my opinion, and I don't think I got the question of the day was, is dirt track racing the ultimate form of motorsport? And Kaleb gave his answer, Chase gave his answer, and I happen to disagree. I know Kaleb talked about, do you remember what he talked about? It's kind of in the eye of the beholder, right?
Mm-hmm. And about the attention span that people have for racing. And I
Correct.
completely get that. Our society and the quick, way we lose focus on things.
Yeah.
And Kaleb talked about like the F1 race or NASCAR, and it's all these laps.
600 laps and,
And the only way that I can sit down and watch an F1 race is on the Apple TV with the 30-minute recap.
yeah, it's a lot happening. I kind of think that dirt track racing is the ultimate form of motorsport, and the reason I did is when you look at NASCAR, you look at F1, you look at asphalt racing, everything is calculated. Aerodynamics, there isn't any part of the track that is unknown for those teams. They can't afford to, right? And dirt track racing, if you ever saw a sprint car, a 410 sprint or a 360 go around a dirt track, you ever heard the term slide job? There's a reason they do that. There's certain times that a driver who is very technical and very specific gets into sliding through corners 1, 2, or 3 and 4. There's some unknown factor in that. Mm-hmm. You could, the angle of the slide can be off. A car can slide into you. There are unknowns within that you can't calculate for. And so you have to drive around those unknowns and still come out unscathed. And sometimes that is difficult because of the unknown factor, I call it. And that's why I thought that dirt track racing is the ultimate form, because there is a certain unknown within that. Now,
and the dirt is such an unknown, and it can change from race to race and within the race.
It could be dry, wet, doesn't matter. You could have a rookie that isn't quite have as much horsepower powering through the corner as, Trey Starks, for instance. Watching, Levi and Trey go at it, and, somebody that is newer, like with not as much speed, there's a lot of unknown within that, and you don't quite know. And, a team can practice or prepare for a certain thing, but I just think that when you're in a sprint car or modified or late model and you're whipping around the corner, There's just an unknown factor that you still have to deal with and, attend to, not knowing what the outcome is going to be, and still manage that and come out unscathed to finish a race in a great position. So that's why I make the argument that, it is the ultimate form of motorsport.
Well, and somebody else could take that corner, hit the wall, bounce off of you, whatever the
You
scenario
never know,
is.
yeah. So anyway, that is our episode kind of featuring Deming Speedway. I want to thank, once again, Paul, his crew. I want to thank Chase. I want to thank Kaleb for
Sage.
allowing us to interview. And I was just going to
Oh,
say,
sorry.
Sage, Stacy beat me to the punch. Sage's parents, everybody's been great. And I am excited to see the stories that we get to tell at Deming Speedway, because it has only just begun. So you're going to want to stay tuned, because there is a lot of stories to tell, and I look forward to it. I'm super excited about this upcoming rest of the season at Deming Speedway. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching this episode. We are From the Stands, PNW. We are a dirt track racing podcast for the Pacific Northwest, where every lap has a story, every fan has a seat, and that is our Deming special. And we'll see everybody at our next episode.
Podcast is created by Jimmy and Stacy, hosted by Jimmy, and produced by Stacy and Nick. Like, subscribe, and share this video and the podcast.